Welcome, beautiful beings under the stratosphere. This is emotional crisis number 6, and today is the power of pause. So if you've done all the way 1 through 5, now you're going to pause for a moment and make an assessment and see if you need to go back to number 1 and move strong. So the thing with crisis is that sometimes it's not over all in one bang. We wish it was that way, but it kind of comes in waves, and you deal with the quantity of pain and information that you can deal with in each of its stages as it starts getting a little bit less intensity, less intensity, less intensity. So after doing the part of nourishment and making sure you have all of that mapped out, what you're going to be eating, how you're going to be caring for yourself, the safe place that you're going to be in. You've talked to the person, you've used your hands, used your words, you've kept moving 60 minutes of movement. Whenever you feel it's coming back, or if it's too intense, you have gone into the intensity of 6 minutes of movement just to shed and shake up the energy that's coming to you. Take a small pause and notice, how am I doing? And if you're like, this feels pretty good, I feel like the intensity has dropped, then consider 15 seconds of nothing. So the story here is, I used to set my timer on my phone to give me 15 seconds of nothing in any random moment of the day, to show and prove to myself that I still had a control of my time. I had control of my day. There was nothing going on in my day that was more important than me having 15 seconds to assess my existence, to assess my emotions, to assess how aligned I'm feeling. And it was very interesting because the alarms would appear at moments where one would normally think, okay, well, I'll finish this and then I'll do 15 seconds of nothing. But I really claimed it. I was in the middle of something and I said, it's 15 seconds for me. It's very highly likely that once I finish this, I will have forgotten and I have moved on to something else. And I didn't honor the 15-second rule that I had proposed to myself. And I found that this was gold. I know that they say that if you stop doing something and then try to go back to do it, it wastes 20 minutes of your time. So I think the one difference was that I stopped doing something and did nothing, versus tried to do, I wasn't multitasking, I was detasking. In any case, I could unwind the activity that I was currently in and really extract the juice out of it, just because I had decided to take a 15-second pause. At the time, I was a yoga instructor, and I decided that I was going to call my next practice 15 seconds of nothing. And I told them the story that I just told you, and I said, consider to take pauses when you need them throughout the practice. Sometimes we need the pause, but because the instructor, because of the cueing, because keeping up with the class, we don't take the pause. We don't breathe when we feel we need more breath. We don't stay longer when we feel we might benefit from that stretch. There is a lot of the part of our brain that we want to fit in. We want to fit in the time sequence, and we don't want to miss the next cue, because then we'll be way behind in the flow. So throughout the practice, I let them explore that on their own. And then I think it was 45 minutes in the practice. And then all of a sudden, I had them come from their downward facing dog, walk their hands back and stand up. And I said, take an inhale. And we're going to take 15 seconds of nothing. And I turned off the lights. I turned off the music. And we just stood there. And that is what I am about to offer you. So here we go. I'm going to press the timer, and we're going to have this pause of 15 seconds after everything we've done, and we're just going to assess where we are in this instant. That was it. How'd you do? How were the 15 seconds? I felt them very necessary, especially since the cueing for making YouTube videos and segments like this is keep it going, keep it constant, keep them kind of like entertained, make it be engaging, don't leave gaps. People are gonna leave mid-video. And I said, I'm not gonna go with that flow because that's not my flow. And I enjoy having a crescendo and then a lulling of the movement, even in a video, when I'm just like we do when we watch a film or when we hear a song. There's the big chorus and then it goes back into just the lyrics, then there's some music time, then there's again the chorus, then there's, it varies because this is the ebb and flow of the energy. You don't just sing the lyrics and then go up high into a chorus and just bust out the chorus the whole rest of the song, right? The people get tired of listening to repeating the same frequency there. So how are you going to distribute your pauses through emotional crisis? You just did it. You did 15 seconds. If immediately then things were starting to feel triggered, you just go back straight to number 1. If you managed well the 15 seconds, you're like, my vibe, my frequency stabilized. You didn't feel extra agitation. The first option is to go for 2 hours of pause. Consider 2 hours of pause where you're not doing an activity, where you're going back to the times where maybe I used to sit in the rocking chair at home and be completely bored. You will need this pause time because these are the moments where the narrow activity will come up with your creativity for solution problem. We're not solving anything right now, but it needs the space for it to make the connections of what is necessary and what is best for you without any activity. So these 2 hours of pause are non-active. Try it, see how it lasts. Notice if you fall asleep. Have no judgment in the process, but see how is sitting still for you for 2 hours or laying down or looking out the window where your mind is left unentertained, undistracted, no conversation, no to-dos. You can turn off your phone, put it on airplane mode, and just sit down somewhere or lay down somewhere and let the time lapse. See what happens in the mind. If at any moment the emotional crisis starts to come back up, try to avoid it going all the way back to where it was. You can pick up with keep moving and can be like, okay, I did it for an hour. The mind was starting to take over with story. Go back to keep moving. Start again with using your words, use your hands. Continue then with movement. That's okay. It was a first attempt. I just consider the test of the 2 hours a solid validation for myself that my mind can be trusted to be left alone on its own and it's not going to sabotage me. Because if I'm not doing anything, I'm aware during the pause what my mind is doing and saying. Because what it will do is you will try to re-engage in your normal activities and it'll creep back up there from behind, and all of a sudden you'll be in the middle of something, having your anxiety attack again, or feeling overwhelmed, feeling so you will forget all the steps you did because it was left unattended without you to guide it. When you have 2 hours undistracted, all on your own, you are there to guide it and to perceive, where is my mind heading at every second. At every second, you're attentive to the direction it wants to go. On this one, we have the example of the bean jar. So here we have the beans, and here we have the jar. Normally, you're not going to need this many beans. What you are going to need is the jar. Every time that the thought comes back to me of, but he knew he shouldn't have said that. Oh, a bean goes in the jar. I was going to say that. Oh, now what am I going to do? Oh. And this process helps you catch yourself. You're like, all I have to do, I don't have to stop the thought. All I have to do is chuck a bean in there when I notice, did I think about it now? Did I do it now? I had a situation where, put the beans back in here, where I had a distressful interaction with a fellow yoga student, and we were in a training, and I felt this super high negative vibe that she had against me during a course we were taking. And I couldn't bring myself to come back, and I had to do a thing with her as a group. And I had paid for this training. I didn't want to not go. So I said, how can I manage my mind and feeling bad and focus on the content? So I took a little bag of beans, and I took them. I had a little baby jar back then because my daughter was still eating out of the baby jar foods. And I sat there listening to the discussion, and every time I heard it come in, I was like, oh, I put a little bean in. And for some reason, it helped me redirect that. I noticed, oh, that thought is coming. Yeah, it's almost like I put the thought in the bean and beaned it and jarred it, canned it. And then I could go on peacefully. It's like, yes, I noticed that I had that thought. There it is. And then I noticed I had that thought. And for some reason, the bean jar super helped for me to monitor. Instead of letting it to continue thinking, it's like I put a little stop at every single time. So you have the 2 hours going there. If you succeed with the 2 hours, I consider a day pause. Now, in a day pause, you cannot lay still for 8 hours, 12 hours, however long you're awake, right? So this day pause is something that you will take on your own. It will be at home, and you will have maybe basic activities. Cooking some meals, eating, if that's possible at this stage, and then being at home. I would avoid watching TV. Maybe you can read a book. There's extra stimulation that can be confusing when we watch things or pick the wrong show, and then there's always the temptation to fall down the wrong funnel. I only once in my life did it heal me to use movies, and I didn't even have a TV. I had a VHS player. I didn't have TV signal, and every night I had to go check out a movie, and that was my healing process. Every night I went down, and I had this agreement with the lady at the DVD store that I said, save for me the most dramatic, heart-wrenching movies that ever come in that you find, and line them up for me. This was a strange kind of healing that I put myself through, but it really worked. I think I did that for 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm cured. I don't know if it was that seeing how other people have it so bad or whatever, but it got me through my day because I knew in the night I would be able to express and live my pain. And I think this is just what I needed in that case. Otherwise, it would have been unnecessary. I think it can be confusing, and it gives us ideas instead of letting our own brain create its own solutions and its own concepts about what has happened in our emotional crisis. So that's a lazy day. That's taking it high. Once again, if it starts to trigger during the lazy day, go back to number 1 and just go up the stairs, just like regular. And the last one, the huge pause challenge is take it to a 5-day workday. Can you go through a whole week, a functional week, from Monday to Sunday or Sunday through Saturday, however you run your week? And the week is the pause. The test of the pause is, am I back to normalcy, what would be considered your personal normal, in my week, in my work week, in my daily activity week? Just take a check in. Where does it go up? Where does it go down? Do I need my bean jar? Do I need to go back and do some intense physical activity? I mean, as a rule, just for health, they normally have 60 minutes a day of physical activity for any adult is super necessary. So you can do those activities, but you're taking a break from feeling that you're in recovery. So that's the step where you're like, I think I've done the work and I can pull this off. I would say do a full solid month if that first week goes well. And then after that month, take another pause and decide, do I need to do something about this now? Or was that it? I processed it, I went out on the other side, and now I'm okay. Now I know what to do when this would arise or happen again. And you will know. I'm pretty sure you will know, probably sooner than the month that passes. But I say give yourself the month. It's so incredible what time can do. Even in that time, in that month, you have no idea what might change in other areas of your surrounding world and what adjustments will take place to synchronize with your efforts of your energy to elevate yourself, to get back into your high frequency. All right, that's what I got for number 6. Enjoy the power of your pause. You can try the 15 seconds of nothing. And remember that tomorrow you are going to wake up stronger. Bye-bye.